Welcome to Arts and Drafts. Today I'm going to make a video about how we turned an old warehouse into a working art studio where we do some paint and sip, we do some crafts, we have kids classes, everything else. But today's video is going to be how we turned it from this into this. So the first thing you see when you come into Arts and Drafts is probably the bar and the cafe style area. We originally, when we came in, this was an enclosed room, and it was the lunchroom for the workers here at the warehouse. And we decided to get rid of the walls, obviously, to open the place up a bit. Now, the walls were built probably back in the 40s or even older, so the timber that they used was extremely dense, hard timber. Rather than just throw it all away, we decided we wanted to reuse it. And one of the places that we did that was in the beams here that we installed to hold all the lighting of these old Edison bulbs. So this is kind of where people generally gather around. We've got the kitchen over here where we clean out all of our brushes and the wine glasses and the beer glasses and what have you. So with the bar, this was a lot of work. We had to split it in half because we couldn't get the whole thing up 2 flights of stairs. And we bought it just in rough timber, so we spent weeks just sanding it and buffing it and sanding it and sanding it. And I think it finally turned out quite nice though. So we're pretty happy with it. So moving into the lounge area, it's a big open space. When we have a lot of people, like a corporate event or if we're having any kind of function, we can fit a lot of people in this space. It took a lot of work. The floors were in very bad shape. When we sanded all the floors, we then decided that they were in such bad shape. Even that wasn't enough, so we decided to carpet the floors as well. We've got a big lounge area here where everybody kicks back and relaxes. And then we've got the pictures on the walls. Originally, these walls weren't here. There was some walls that came sideways, and so we had to build these walls in. And again, we repurposed the wood from the walls in the lunchroom, and we built more beams in here to support the lighting. Moving into the studio section of Arts and Drafts, the first thing we do is grab our apron. We made a hanger here for the aprons, just using some, again, recycled timber and some old wooden. One thing we have plenty of here at Arts and Drafts is space. So we've got a lot of room for artists, local artists, to display their work. They can also sell it here. We work as a gallery as well sometimes. Over here we've got a craft table, and this gets used a lot for kids classes, for example. We'll do kids parties where they'll paint cupcakes or whatever. We'll also do some other crafts and things here. You can build a mailbox or a birdhouse or a dog house, whatever you like. As I mentioned before, we had to do an awful lot of work to these floors. I left a bit open here to show what it looked like originally, so you can see it was in pretty bad shape. We sanded with a commercial sander on these floors for a very long time, and yeah, this is what they came into. For the easels, I decided to build these out of reclaimed timber again where I could. A couple of the pieces I had to buy, but it's pretty good. Some people like to stand and paint, and other people like to sit and paint. So I had to make 2 different styles of easels to accommodate as many people as we could. So for events and for functions and for the paint and sip classes, this is the studio area. Everybody has their own easel and kind of their own station. As you see, we have the brushes, towels, the palettes, and the water, and then you've still got room to set your wine glass or your beer or whatever. When people come in, they can set their bags or their belongings here, and they'll be safe during the sessions. This is the workbench pretty much, where we keep all the paints, the brushes, the palettes, and extra towels. It's also a good spot to display some art from local talents as well. This area was originally in very bad shape. It was a stairwell that actually goes downstairs to the floor below, but it was in very bad shape, so we couldn't reuse it. So we ended up just making a bench out of it. We had to replace that window. It was smashed out, and it was pretty bad. I'll show you a picture of what it looked like to begin with. So for the studio area, as I mentioned, the floors were in really bad shape, but also the windows on that back wall, a lot of them were busted out, so we had to replace those. There was about 300 pigeons living in this space, so I'm told. I'm not sure how they got rid of them. I don't want to ask, I don't want to know. Over here, where the big door is, it used to just be a hatch. There was just kind of an escape hatch, if you will, that went out there, and so I wanted to replace that, and we put the big door in there. And it also brings more light into the room. The door is full of glass. One of the nice things about Arts and Drafts is that it's right on the water. So we get a very good sea breeze that comes through. You can see we've got a nice view of the Red Cliff Pier there. And it gets a very nice breeze in here and keeps it pretty comfortable even on warm days. So that's a bit about how we turned an old warehouse into a working art studio. If you like what you see, feel free to comment, make any suggestions, click like, and subscribe. Moving into the studio section, we grab our... So Arts and Drafts also is a gallery of sorts. We do so that's a bit of what it takes to turn an old warehouse into a working art studio. As you can see, we get quite a few people through here, and
Oh my God.
3, 2, 1.
Yep.
Moving into the lounge area, we had to do a lot of work in here on the floors. They took an awful lot of sanding. The floors, you know, are quite old, and they had been quite cut. One thing we have at Arts and Drafts, moving into the studio section of the no.